All right. So I was actually going to choose another set, but whatever. Let's go. So for lesson number 6 and lesson number 3, 9 and 7, you will have two passage threes as your homework. And by the way, so the homework for 6 lessons will come tomorrow. All right. You will receive video walkthroughs for 6 lessons in one go. All right. So tomorrow I'll send all of them. So including the one for today. So today we're gonna do passage 1 and passage 2. So hopefully things have to be easy. The Clippers race in an era of competition between cargo ships. So cargo, you know that it's like load goods have to be shipped from one place to another. So there was competition. So true, false, not given, notes completion, typical passage 1. That's how passage 1s look, right? I mean, you have true, false, not given, followed by what? Notes completion usually. In most passage 1s, in the majority of passage 1s, that's the case, right? Yeah, we're gonna read. The in the 17th, 18th, British India faced a lot of competition. Did it face a lot of competition? In before cargo size was the most important consideration for East India Company. Was it the most important thing, the cargo size? Then at best voyages of the India Company, I guess, to China, India men, India men, I guess, to China. Still people are joining. I will stop accepting at a certain point, honestly. Took nearly 2 years to complete. It took nearly 2 years to complete. And before something this year, voyages to and from China were considered highly dangerous. Was it highly dangerous? After that, the ships which had served the East stopped being used for commercial purposes. In the 19th century, British drinkers preferred tea made from natural mature leaves to made mature means grown ones, fully grown ones. Clipper race, one word only. Pay attention, it says one word only. Clipper ships were used for trading by American merchants. Merchants means salesmen. The ships were remarkable for the number of something they had. Okay, they were remarkable for one thing. And the performance of British tea clippers was particularly affected when they were at something sea, when they were the war, so it has to be plural. In races, it was in a ship called something that the British first completed successfully against the Americans. Richard Green's ship arrived 2 days ahead of its competitor. When additional Chinese trading something war established, again, a war, pay attention. Merchants were occasionally in such a hurry that they failed to complete something before leaving China. At the end of their journey, ships needed the help of someone. And finally, the rewards. The crews were motivated by both something and the enthusiasm for the competition of the competition. So, guys, with these questions, honestly, what I would not do, like I told you before, I wouldn't read all of them if I was in the exam, because in majority of cases, everything is in order. But I would just look at the titles. That would be enough. The ships, the races, and the rewards. That's what I would do. But because we are doing together, I'm just, But I think it's easy to remember. In each question, there is something you cannot forget. So during the 17th and 18th centuries, the British India Company had the monopoly on trade with China and India. So they had monopoly. All right. This meant that because no rival could legally um, import tea or other goods from these countries, the company was rarely in a hurry to transport its merchandise. All right. So there's the answer for question number 1. What's the answer for question number 1? So the answer for question number 1 is going to be false because they had monopoly. There was literally no competition. All right, so the answer is going to be false because it had monopoly, right? Instead, its priority was to minimize costs by carrying, as much possible as one ship. So this meant its ships known as East Indiamen. Okay, that's East Indiamen. There was actually Indiamen. Were enormous, strong, and very slow. So what's the answer for question number 2? Before 1800, the cargo size was the most important consideration. I think its priority was to minimize what? Minimize costs. So the answer is going to be what? by carrying as much as possible, right? Some people are saying true, some people are saying false. Interesting. Here it says cargo size was the most important thing. This meant that ship known were enormous, strong, and very slow. Well, I think it is well, that's a good question though. What's the most important thing? I think the most important thing was to minimize cost, not the cargo size. But here it says by carrying as much possible on each ship, though. All right. All right. Well, you cannot choose not given because we have the word priority. That's synonym for, I guess, the most important consideration, right? Priority was to minimize costs. So here it says cargo size was the most important. Here it says to minimize costs. So it has to be false. Right. Yeah, I would choose false honestly for this one because I can correct it. I can correct the statement by saying well again, this is kind of difficult question honestly. Like I would just choose false because priority is synonym for most important consideration. To minimize costs is the no, cargo size wasn't the most important. The most important thing is minimizing costs. All right. But it could be true too. Like we're gonna come back to this one. All right, it could be true as well because they want to carry as much as possible. That's the thing, though. All right, so we're gonna come back to this one. We're gonna come back to this one. By the average East Indiaman could carry this many. All right. The trading pattern for China tea usually meant that the East Indiaman set sail from Britain in January and sailed around Cape Cod and blah blah. Arrived in China in September. Okay, they set sail in January. There they would load up the year's harvest, set up again, and depending on the winter and weather, following September. So look, did it take them nearly 2 years to complete? Almost 2 years, right? So the answer is going to be what? True. I mean, it's true, right? I mean, it's an easy one. It's like obviously saying that, like it's saying, if you look at that, round trip almost lasted almost 2 years. So the answer is going to be what? True. All right. So the answer is going to be what? True. However, by 1830, the company had lost trading monopolies and tea had become freely traded item. Having no more use for its great ships, the company sold them off, and many were bought by merchants or their captains who continued to plow the seas between Britain and China. But now that tea could be treated fairly, a few smart sailors began to realize whoever brought each new harvest of tea to first who stood to make the most money. Kim tezroq kelsa shuncha ko'p pul topgan, to'g'rimi? So this was partly because mana shu ikkita javob chiqdi. To'rtinchi javob nima bo'ldi? To'rt. To'rt not given bo'ldi, to'g'rimi? To'rt not given. Bizada vaqtda gap yo'q. Xo'p, chunki biz to'rtta o'tkazib olganimiz qayerdan bildik? Mana manqida bu yoqda if anything went wrong degan, lekin u dangerousga teng emas. Xo'p, 5-savol javobichi? After 1834 keyin, 1834 keyin East Indiaga stop being used. I guess javob nima bo'ladi? False bo'ladi. Sababi who continued to deyapti-ku bu yoqda, qarang, e'tibor bering. Ular ishlatishda davom etdi deyapti. To'g'rimi? Qarang. By merchants and their captains or their captains who continued to plow the seas. So the answer is going to be false because ular ishlatishda davom etgan. To'g'rimi? Shu uchun false bo'ldi. Qarang, savolda aytyapti, ular ishlatilmay qo'yildi, commercial pul topish maqsadida. Yo'q, ular ishlatishda davom etgan. This was purely because if you were home first, you could sell your shipment before your competitors arrived. Partly because consumers in Britain in the 19th century. Ular qaysini yaxshi ko'rgan ekan? The fresher and earlier picked tea, the better the resulting drink. Qanaqa teani afzal ko'rgan ekan? 6 false bo'ldi. Sababi nima uchun? Nima uchun false bo'ldi? Chunki ular fresh teani yaxshi ko'rgan ekan, to'g'rimi? Fresher teani yaxshi ko'rgan ekan. Bu yerda mature leaves deyapti, ya'ni anaqa qurib qolgan teani yaxshi ko'rgan deyapti. Fresh teani yaxshi ko'rgan. Shu uchun javobimiz 6-savol javobi nima bo'ldi? 6-savol javobi false bo'ldi. Mana bu gapdan oldi. Qancha shuncha degan gap strukturasidan foydalangani. So the tea traders now needed faster, sleeker ships to bring their precious cargo back. Nevertheless, in Britain, this idea caught on slowly, while the 1840s saw faster ships launched. For the first time, many merchants remained satisfied with the slow, reliable East Indiaman. All right. So, in fact, the Americans who pioneered the first clipper ships, Americans birinchi tez shiplarni olib kelgan ekan. All right. Ikkiga qaytamiz. All right, ikkiga oxirida qaytamiz. These vessels kema degan were fast, slender, kichkina, tez, with a narrow hull that was deeper at the back and the front, masts, sails, blah blah blah. They earned their name from the way they clipped off journey time. Clipper degan job ism olganiga sabab journey time ni qisqartirgan ekan. Rich merchants resolved to build their own clippers to rival the Americans, and the first British Stornoway was built. I don't think there is an answer yet, right? There's no answer in this paragraph, right? Oh, there is an answer. Our multi clippers were designed and built in Britain, and they had narrower beam than their making them less powerful during storms, but faster in calmer weather. The ships were remarkable for a number of what? 8, right? 8 is going to be. All right, so competition. Well, they're describing they earned their name from clipped to journey time. Merchants resolved to build their own clippers to rival, and the first British tea clipper, more tea clippers were designed and built, and they had a narrower beam, and they're making them less powerful during storms. During the storms, they were but faster in calmer weather. The performance of tea were particularly affected during storms. So the answer is going to be storms, but we're going to come back to 8. 8, the ships were remarkable for the number of they had. What does that mean though? Like, let me choose storms here. Like, anaqa borligi, bo'ron borligi, to'fon borligi yo yo'qligi, anaqa ularning tezligiga ta'sir qilgan. U 8 storms bo'ldi, lekin hali 7 chota manimcha chiqmadi, to'g'rimi? Remarkable degan so'zga chiqmadi-ku. They were remarkable. For massive sails and on tall masts. Bo'lishi mumkin, lekin mana shu yerda massive sails on tall masts. But remarkable, what were they were remarkable for? All right. 7 savolga ham qaytamiz. Chota. All right. Mana shu joyda bo'lishi kerak edi 7 savol. Masses of sails. Bizlarga bitta so'z aytganda lekin. The vessels were fast and slender with a narrow hull that was deeper in back and masses of sails on tall masts. Probably that there's tartib bilan keladi. 8 normal javob chiqmagani uchun men 7 mashinalarni nima remarkable so'ziga yaxshi sinonim kelmayapti. They earned their name because they clipped off the journey time. Hope fast and slender could be that for the number of they were remarkable for the number of what sales they had. Sales they had. All right, from this, we're going to come back to this one more time. There was a great spirit of competition and between ships playing the tea trade. But to begin with, Americans had the edge. Americans aldığında bugün. Then in the British ship owner built a nearly aptly named Challenger with the stated intention of beating the Americans, loaded with tea. At the time, Challenger matched larger lobe and greatly admired for its speed. Large sums were bought that. So the answer for 9 is obviously what? Challenger. Challenger. All right, so the answer is Challenger. All right, so competition when Chinese large sums were bet and competed in the event. British ship beat its rival to London by 2 days. Much jubilation means happiness. From then on, such international race grew in popularity. After 1855, American participation in British tea gradually stopped, but even without Anglo-American library, competition spirit continued. Competition with the it was really ignited when the new ports were opened up for trade in China. So the answer is going to be for what? 10 is going to be trading what? Trading ports. e'tibor bersangizlar shunaqa savol tuzadi IELTS faqat. Trading ports were established, opened up synonym bo'ladi. These included Fuzhou, which was much closer to tea producing areas than Canton. The port was used previously. All right, as a result, the tea could be loaded on board and fresher. The clippers set off in late May and early June, sometimes not even taking time to do official paperwork. Complete the what? 10 is going to be what? 11. 11 is going to be complete the paperwork. In paperwork, fill out a sentence for complete. So 11 is going to be paperwork, right? At the end of the ships needed help of someone. They stepped down, they sped down through the South China, India Ocean, and then raced to get round. Then it was north across the river, blah, blah, blah. They would be towed by tugs up the river. Once there, they would be towed by tugs. So the answer is going to be what? They needed the help of tugs, right? And finally, the cargo of the winning ship could earn premium. That means a lot of money, of up to 6 pence per pound. And so the captain and crew were rewarded by the owner's cargo. But the race were about more than just money. They were proud of their ships. They delighted in competing without their enthusiasm. The races would never happen since home as fast as required the crew to be totally and occupied much of their rest for duration of the race. So there's the second one here. What's the answer for next one? They were motivated by. No, how can they be motivated by crew? No, they were by their enthusiasm of the competition. No, it was money. It's money. It's money, people. The races were more than just the money, though, right? Races were more than just the money. So the answer is going to be money here. Come on. Right? Did you choose money too? Did you understand why? I mean, if you pay attention, ularda nima motivatsiya bergan? Pul. Chunki har bitta poundiga 6 pensdan bergan ekan. Right? Crew degani umuman boshqa narsa. Shipdan oyatlar ships deb yozish. Qani ship bo'lishi mumkin. Cruise yozilgan-ku o'zi. Crew degani jamoadagilar deganda, jamoadagilar ikkita narsadan butun komanda crew deyiladi. Pul motivatsiya berganda ularga. 12ni tushunmadim, 13ni tushunmadim. Hammasini tushuntiramiz, qilamiz. 12da mana qarang. U yoqqa yetib borgandan keyin pastga nima orqali tow qilingan? Mashinani tow qilasiz-ku, olasiz. Mana qolib ketsa towing machine deydi-ku. Ana shu nima qilgan tow qilganda? Um, tax yordam berganda tax 12 tax bo'ldi. Xo'p, endi 13 ga qaytadigan bo'lsak, u jamoadagi odamlar, kemadagi odamlarga nima motivatsiya bergan? Well, kargoda 6 pensgacha topish mumkin edi. Right? Shu uchun but faqat pul emas edi deyapti. Ular they were delighted in competing against each other deyapti. Bir-biri competing against each other degan enthusiasm. Shu uchun money bo'ldi. Xo'p, delighted in competing against each other degan their enthusiasm for competition bo'ladi. Javob money bo'ldi. Xo'p, endi ikkinchi savolga qaytamiz. Bu yuqoridagi joyga. Cargo size was the most important consideration. Xo'p, cargo size was the most important consideration. Its priority was to minimize costs by carrying as much possible. Its priority was to minimize costs by carrying as much possible as on each ship. That its ships were enormous and strong and very slow. Kamila aytdikki oxirida qaytamiz. Hozir shuni o'ylayapmiz. All right, so not given. No, it's like I think there is an answer. Like its priority its priority was to minimize cost by carrying as much possible. Yeah, it's probably true because maqsad deyapti, uni prioritysi iloji boricha ko'p nima edi? Ship har bitta shipda iloji boricha ko'p narsa tashish kerak bo'lgan. Maqsad nima? Costlarni minimize qilish uchun. Right? Endi aytaveradi one woman is. Shu one woman is deb biz ham bilamiz. All right, true. All right, false, true, not given, false. Paul and Cullen videosini aytyapsiz menimcha, Umar. All right, Vietnamdagi videosini. 7 qoldi. 7 menimcha sales bo'ldi, endi boshqa variant qolmadi. Sababi who pioneered mana bu joydagi fast and slender degani o'sha pozitiv so'z bitta bizada qoldi. Mana shu remarkable ga bo'lyapti. A narrow hull that was deeper and a masses of with esa have ga sinonim bo'ladi do'stlar. With esa mana shu joydagi have ga sinonim bo'ladi because it had and I have right have ga with sinonim bo'ldi. Shuning uchun bitta tushadigan so'zi sales bo'ldi. Can you explain why it's true? Well, biz ham aniq 100% emas. Mana shunaqa savol bor ekan endi. Bizda to'g'ri javoblar yo'q. Bu savollarning javobi yo'q hech kimda. Sababi priority degani important consideration, most important consideration. Mana bu yerda carrying as much possible degani shuncha qancha ko'p tashigan bo'lsa, shuncha yaxshi bo'lgan degani. Demak, cargo size eng muhim narsa bo'lganda. Endi netda ham qo'yaveradi. Netda ham bizga o'xshagan odamlar tanlagan-ku uni. Uni kimdir yozish kerak. All right.